guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have a really exciting video of all my thoughts and opinions on Booktok's most popular books. I literally googled the most popular books on Booktok and these are the books that came up. We're going to be talking about 30 that circle around Booktok and social media. Just my general opinions on them. Take my opinion with a grain of salt. This is just a little bit of fun. Yeah, I didn't really know what else to say about that, so let's just get into the video. There's not a lot of method to my madness right now, but we're going to just go with the author that sold more copies than the Bible. Colleen Hoover, Verity. I actually really love it. It is just such a quick, fast-paced thriller, and it's one of those books that you will read it, you'll get to the ending, and you can go and reread the book and have a different experience and different opinions. And no matter how many times you read this, your opinions and your ideas can change and they can flip-flop. And I think that that is a really good thriller. Verity, I love, and I still to this day recommend it. Then of course we have It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is the biggest OG book on Booktok ever. This is the book that got millions of people into reading. This is the book that got generations back into reading. Like, this was the book that was getting handed around and posted everywhere. Question is, do I like it or not? I actually do. I don't really understand the hate towards it. I love it because A, it is such a great representation for domestic violence. It has a really great message. And you know why? Because I remember reading all of the reviews and all of the comments of girls being like, I understand why you can't just say, just leave him now. Like, this puts you through the ringer of what someone in a domestic violence situation goes through. It makes you feel what that person feels and how hard it is to leave and how manipulative and just the struggles that go on with DV. That is why I like this book. I like this book because it is a great representation of it. It is a great message. It opened the eyes of many young men and women, and I think that that's beautiful. And not only that, this book single-handedly got millions of people into reading, and I think that that is a absolutely beautiful thing, and I don't think that it should be hated on. And I'm actually really excited for the movie. And I do just want to say a quick disclaimer: the people that have this morbid idea that this is romanticizing domestic violence really miss the message of the entire book. This is a book representing domestic violence. There's nothing romanticizing it, but I think if you genuinely think that this is romanticizing it, I think you kind of need to reread it. And I don't say that lightly. Like, genuinely, as someone who has been in that situation, has been around DV, it's not romanticizing it. And that's actually my pet peeve. When I see comments saying that she romanticizes DV, I'm like, the whole message of the book clearly went in one ear and out the other. And also, while we're on the topic, if you actually read the acknowledgements, you will know why she wrote this book. Another one of the biggest ones, A Court of Thorns and Roses. This will never disappear. This truly will never disappear from social media. Do you know why? Because it is a canon event. This is perfection. I love the ACOTAR series. But with that being said, I'm a Throne of Glass girly. This is the best fantasy series I have ever read to this day. I adore it. I love it. It truly melts my heart. I've done rereads so many times and I'm never bored. I love it so much. And don't get me wrong, I do love ACOTAR, but I am just a Throne of Glass girly. But both of these series are absolutely amazing and I will forever recommend these series. Then we have The Cruel Prince. I've only read the first. I have not read the entire trilogy, but for me, this just wasn't it. And I feel like I dance around it so much on social media because I don't want to offend anyone, and I do think that I really want to give this trilogy another shot. But so far, my reading experience hasn't been the most enjoyable, and I am absolutely guilty of this, but this has been like marketed as a romantasy. It's not. It's a political fantasy. And when I read it and I tried to read it twice, not in my political fantasy era. That being said, I definitely am going to give it another shot, but my reading experience so far, I have not enjoyed my time with The Cruel Prince as much as everyone else has. Then we have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I love this book. I didn't even realize that this book had hate until people started like commenting saying, I don't understand why people hate it. Personally, I've never actually seen hate on it, but I love it. And I love the movie as well. Like, truly love this book so much. Now keep in mind, I read this when I started getting into reading. When it first came out on Booktok, I think I would still love it, but truly when I read it at the time, I devoured it and I absolutely loved it. And I just have like no notes. I thought it was really great, and I had so many great tropes, like taking care of her, their work nemesis. Then we have Where the Crawdads Sing. I love this so much. Okay, so this was actually, I believe, my first fiction book, because this is not a romance. It does have like a tiny sprinkle of romance, but it's not the storyline. Amazing. Absolutely incredible. I don't know why I stopped talking about it as much. I think just like where I placed it on my shelves when I film videos, it just doesn't catch my eye. I love this book so much. I also think that the movie was great. It was a great adaptation. There's not a lot of times that I'll read a book and watch the movie and love the movie because they got everything right. But of course, Miss Queen, Reese Witherspoon, got it right with the adaptation because she actually read the book. Truly amazing. I would check trigger warnings, but I highly recommend it. Then we have a thriller again, The Silent Patient. This I loved. When I first read it, I had yet to experience a shocking plot twist. I hadn't yet read Verity. This was my first time reading a thriller going, holy shit, that's a plot twist. Like, I truly mean it. This was my first experience with a plot twist, so I devoured it. If I read this book today, I would still love the plot twist, love it, but I would find the book boring. It is slow, okay? Like, very slow until the very end, but it does have you questioning like what happened and everything. I just don't think I would love it as much as I do, because back then when I got into reading, I could read anything. Literally could read about people sitting there watching paint dry. Like, I just loved reading so much. I did not care. When I got into reading, I had never read anything before, so everything was so incredibly new to me that I found everything interesting. Now that I've read like 400-500 books, the tropes and stuff, like, you understand it. Once you've read that many books, you start being very nitpicky because not everything is as new and exciting. But yeah, I still love it. I think I would still enjoy it. I think I would just find it a little bit slow, but the plot twist is incredible. Then we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. Now, if you guys follow me on TikTok, you will know that I'm actually not a biggest fan of Emily Henry, and I didn't enjoy this book. I found it very slow. I didn't connect to the characters. I didn't really enjoy the romance. I have, since reading a lot of Emily Henry's books, come to realize that I'm just not an Emily Henry girly. I'm not. I didn't enjoy this. Don't particularly understand the hype of this book. Then we have The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is a classic, and this is absolutely worth the hype. This book, this series, the spin-off series to this single-handedly put me in a ice hockey romance era for a year. You best believe I was incognito on my Kindle reading about smutty hockey boys, and I loved it. And I love ice hockey because of this book, and I still love it. I did a reread, love it, adore it. I will forever love this series, and I think it is absolutely worth the hype. Then we have a more recent one that's been going around on Booktok, and that is Binding 13. I have yet to complete this series. I have read Binding 13, Keeping 13, and Saving 6. Love Binding 13, love Keeping 13. Saving 6, however, did not have the most enjoyable time. Do I understand why this book is hyped? Yes, absolutely I do. Believe it or not, I think it's getting hyped for the same reason that It Ends With Us was getting hyped. Covers very similar topics, just different age demographic, different setting, found family, completely different characters, obviously just say heavy topic. I love it. I do think it is absolutely worth the hype. I have yet to complete the series though. Then we have The Fine Print by Lauren Asher, and also we have Throttled by Lauren Asher. Both very, very popular. I do believe that this is a lot more popular on Booktok book though, so we are just going to talk about this one. The odd thing about Lauren Asher is that I love her writing, just sometimes don't like the settings of her stories. Like Throttled, I'm not sure if I'm an F1 girly. I didn't like the F1 setting of that. Love the romance though. This one, romance was okay, but I'm not a big fan of the Disneyland setting. I'm just not. Chalk it up to childhood trauma. I just didn't like it. I tried with the second book, and again I was like, no, I really can't do this whole Disneyland setting, and I just didn't enjoy it. But nothing against the author, nothing against her writing, because her writing and her characters and her story is good. I just don't like the setting. Then we have Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, 1,000 Times Yes. If you have yet to read this book, you really need to read it now. It is the fluffiest romance rom-com that I have ever read, and it's probably the best. Actually, I will rectify that. It is the best one that I have ever read. It is so cute. It is so fluffy. It reminds me of cotton candy and clouds when I think of it. The romance is adorable. Like, I cannot talk this book up enough. It is perfection. I think every single one of you should read it. Then we have a more recent one that blew up on Booktok. I haven't really heard that much about it though, so I think it has fizzled out a little bit, but this was everywhere for a long time. Pucking Around. I actually DNF'd this book. It wasn't for me, and I love ice hockey. I think one, the size really intimidates me. I quite frankly got the ick, and I couldn't unget the ick. I loved one of the first love interests that were introduced. Liked that so far. I thought it was really fun and quirky and just like fluffy. Then the second one was introduced, and he was basically just like head over heels in love with her over a one-night stand, and like how he was taught. I just got the ick. I really got the ick. I was like, why is this man doing this? Why is his thoughts like this? I'm not an insta lovey girl. Insta lust, yes. Insta love, No, but I know so many people who love it, so obviously give it a shot. Now this is also another OG Booktok one. One of Us is Lying. I love this one. I'm actually currently reading another book from this author. I believe it's like the 5th book. It's not related to One of Us is Lying, just has a very similar cover. Awesome, 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 awesome. It is such a fun YA thriller. I think the writing is absolutely amazing. I think the setting is fun. Also, the TV show, yes, great adaptation, absolutely amazing. Please go read it before you watch the TV show because it's just so good. Shatter Me. I have only read the 1st book, yet everything in this series has been spoiled for me because of how hyped it is on Booktok, which is very disappointing. I keep waiting for my brain to forget everything that has been spoiled. Not there yet. The 1st book I actually started reading and had to DNF. I couldn't get past everything being crossed out, which is such a weird thing because I actually remember reading it and going, this is so cool, and yet it kept pulling me out of the story. Then I forced myself to just sit down and go, okay, read it, everyone loves this. And it just, because there was so much hype, the 1st book, just this 1st book, not the series, just this 1st book, did not live up to the hype. Yeah, it was just average. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is why every single person talks about it. Now I understand I have to get to Ignite Me, I know, but like the internet spoiled everything, so I actually don't know about this one. I don't know how I feel. I'm kind of just like Switzerland. Now we have one that is literally circling the internet, especially because of a very, very, very highly anticipated new release, and that is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. If you guys follow me on TikTok, I've actually talked about this a lot, and I feel like it's come the time when I need to put this book on the shelf and just never look at it, never talk about it ever again, especially after reading the recent book. Like, I think after I talk about this and after I do my reading wrap up, I'm never going to talk about this book ever again. Let me explain. Now, the 1st book was good. I rated it 3 stars. I do want to say that. And because this is my final thoughts of ever talking about this book, I am just going to be so brutally honest. The writing is beautiful. I stand by that. Lauren is a beautifully talented author. She is great at writing. I love her writing. I have so many annotations in here because her writing's beautiful. As an author myself, which I will literally talk about after this book because I feel like I do need to explain myself. As an author myself, I understand inspiration. My book was inspired by ACTA. Does that mean that I pulled scenes and characters and setting and everything from ACTA? No. Does it mean that the vibes are similar? Yes, but it should kind of just like end there. This book has gone to the point that people read this and people are even commenting on Red Queen, the author's like page, being like, you stole that from Powerless. Like, no. So let's backtrack a little bit. Powerless is a mix between Hunger Games and Red Queen. Lauren herself has said that. That is fine. It's absolutely fine to take inspiration, but reading this, every little thing pulled me out of the story because of how glaringly obvious and similar it was to these other series. Some people don't get pulled out of it and they love it because it reminds them of that, and I'm so glad that people did. I wanted to love this series as much as the internet loves it because I'm getting FOMO. I went in, I read the novella, and I read the 2nd book with such low expectations, but also like just like literally praying and hoping that I would love it so I could love it as much as the internet loves it. I was hoping now that Lauren is traditionally published that the publishers would kind of push her in a more original path, because also this was her debut book. Debut books, I find, even coming from myself, they are always inspired by something, and then the author goes on and then writes their own version of it. And I do believe that Lauren did do that with the next 2 books. But this book in particular, no one talks about how much she's taken from other books. No one talks about anything, ever, because they love it so much, which is totally fine. Continue to like love it. That is fine. But the internet's such a hypocrite when it comes to this book, and it's so incredibly frustrating. I really wanted to love this book. I really did. And I would read things and I'd be like, oh my god, that's a great line. But I never felt anything. For some reason, I don't emotionally connect to Payton. I tried to figure it out in the 2nd book. I can't figure it out. Kai, I love him. He's so cute. I love his one-liners. This is not shitting on the author. This is just kind of shitting on the internet and how much of a double standard the internet does. Because there is full-blown things taken from other books and shoved into this one that people praise about and just ignore. But then there's a lot of other books that the internet will absolutely shit on for having similar vibes and being inspired by. But after reading the newest second book release, I will not continue with the series. Yeah, that's my dirty dark little secret. I think the internet is a little bit hypocritical when it comes to Powerless. But yeah, I just don't like how no one's talking about it. I also don't like how people are going to the authors of the original books and saying that they stole from Powerless. Check the publishing dates. It's wild. I just find such a theme with really big books and really big popular books. If it is heavily inspired by something, everyone will like turn a blind eye. Lesser known books, they get slammed. It's just such a, it's what the internet's doing. It's my pet peeve at the moment with the internet. Next up we have Lightlark, and I love this book and I recommend this book, and I actually think I cracked the code on why people didn't like when the book first came out. Never saw any of the hate reviews or any of the original marketing videos that Alex did promoting Lightlark. However, I have since been told that it was marketed as Hunger Games, Deadly Trials, Enemies to Lovers, which it is not. I went in with very low expectations and went in completely blind, and I just think the wording around how this was marketed makes people think one thing, and when they pick up the book they get an entirely different thing, so then they're disappointed. But because I went in blind with no expectations, I loved it. If you go in thinking that there's a deadly curse that these rulers have to break, they have to try and crack a riddle, and one of them has to die in order to break the curses, you'll have so much fun. Fantasy is absolutely amazing because it's so incredibly unique. It is praise to Alex for coming up with this because it's so great. It was so fun. There is a love triangle, and I do believe the next one will be Enemies to Lovers, and I will say no more because I highly recommend that everyone reads this. Now, remember when I said that I was an author? Hi, for those of you that don't know, my name is madsraff, and I wrote the Aerobraken Fate series, and I just want to talk about it. No, it's not popular in Booktok, but the people that I do reach, the people that do decide to read it, do actually really like it. Really quick, Aerobraken Fate is a Fae romancy. It follows Princess Delilah, who runs to the Fae to ask for help to free her oppressed people, only to find out that they actually need her help more, and she needs to save not only the entire Fae race, along with all of their mythological creatures, but magic itself. And it has found family, enemies to lovers, slow burn, who did this to you, one bed trope. It truly has everything you want and need in a romancy. And the second book, Aerobraken Kingdom. I want you to read this just so you can read this. Now, this is good, do not get me wrong. This is fun. I love this book. This is fun in the sense of it will absolutely rip your heart to shreds, and you will love it while it does. It is so good. The emotional damage is like no other. There's a betrayal in there that no one has really guessed yet so far, and I just want you to read it to see if you'll guess it. This series is also on Kindle Unlimited, but if you want to get these stunning covers on your shelves, you can get her off of Amazon. And while I'm on the topic, she actually has a beautiful special edition that just came out. You can get her from bookbox.au. Look how gorgeous the spine is. The end artwork is absolutely just beautiful. She's so pretty, and it's reversible dust jacket. Comes in a white version, which you can see here. Like, look at that. The gold falling is absolutely stunning, but again, if you want this stunning cover, you can get this cover. If you want this stunning special edition, you can get her from Bookbox. But yeah, I hope that you guys just give her a shot. She's on Kindle Unlimited. Download her. She's practically free. Just see if you like it. If you don't, no harm, no foul. Moving on. Now, speaking of fantasy, I cannot make this YouTube video without talking about one of the most popular romancy Booktok books besides ACOTAR on the internet, and that is Fourth Wing. I love Fourth Wing. I love it. Love it. I read this the first week it came out. I was in the midst of the hype of it, and I love it. It is fast paced. It is deadly trials. It is a war college. It is impeccable. Enemies to lovers. This was perfection. I love this so much. I don't care what anyone says about it. I love it. However, the second book and where the story is heading, I did not enjoy. So I am actually not continuing on with this series, but in my mind, Fourth Wing is just a standalone. A really great one of that. Then we have Divine Rivals. People are going to hate me for this one. I actually didn't enjoy this that much, but hear me out. Don't hate me yet. This is for the words of affirmation girlies. I am not one. I am quality time and physical touch. So, with them not being around each other for majority of the book when the romance is taking place, and their romance happening on paper, which, duh, I know, literally a typewriter, love letters, I understand. I just didn't fall in love with the romance or fall in love with the character through letters. But if you love words of affirmation, like, this book is for you. You will love it so so much, and I still recommend this book for people to try. I just didn't love it as much as the internet loves it. Then we have It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This is a great, fluffy, smutty romance book. I think that this is actually one of Tessa Bailey's best books that she has written. I love this book, and when I was in my smut era, I was eating it up. It was perfection. So if you love smutty romances, this is great. Now this one I don't see on Booktok necessarily, but the recent one I have seen on Booktok, and it's actually book 3 in a interconnected standalone series, and this is the first. Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. All 3 of these books, Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and Yours for the Summer, Infinity Stars. I cannot praise these books enough. Abby Jimenez is absolutely incredible. She has amazing romances that also have this gut-wrenching underlining story, and I just need everyone to read it. No words will ever express how good her books are. They're perfection. Then we have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This book is such a great enemies to lovers. It is so incredibly unique. I love it with everything within my heart. It has a whimsical fairy tale feel to her writing, and I just urge every single person to read this, but also be warned, you have to read Caraval trilogy before you do read this other trilogy. Then we have Icebreaker. Now, I actually, truth be told, kind of preferred Wildfire. While I love this, I actually read the indie version when it first came out. I have not since read the edited traditional publishing version, which I dare say I will love a lot more, because I loved the first 30%, loved the last 40%. There was just this bit in the middle that was repetitive, very slow. It lost me. It kind of just fell off, but then it took off again. And I feel like if that bit was cut out and like shortened, I would love this book. And this is just a great romance with amazing smut. If you like smut, go ahead. Then we have The Love Hypothesis. When I read it, I liked it. If I read it now, I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much, and I feel like I can't really explain my feelings on it because it's just a vibe. It wouldn't have been as amazing as it was. It wouldn't be bad, but it would just be in the middle, like good. It was great. It was fun. That's it. Then we have Twisted Love by Anna Juan. I am actually just not a fan of this series. I actually read Twisted Love when it was indie, which happens quite a lot. I'm now picking up on. Before this was traditionally published, I read it and I didn't enjoy it. Then we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is just classic Booktok. Absolutely worth it. This trilogy is so incredibly great, and I feel that it goes from like YA to new adult, and I really love that. And I love this thriller because for a YA thriller, it is amazing. And I can't say why it's good for a YA thriller. You just have to read it and find out why. Then we have The Spanish Love Deception. Wasn't my favorite. I DNF'd. Then we have Emily Henry, People We Meet on Vacation. This is the only Emily Henry book that I've read of hers that I love. Like, I love this book, and I think it's so funny because most Emily Henry fans, this is their least favorite book. So I think it just goes to show like the different tastes, the different style of writing that I enjoy, and I'm just not an Emily Henry girly, but this one was great and I love it. Then we have Red, White and Royal Blue. Now, my feelings on this are a bit iffy because this was the book that I tried to read after finishing ACOTAR. I actually remember, because I brought ACOTAR with me, I was in Fiji. I binged it within days and I went, oh my god, I think I'm having a book hangover. It was my first ever book hangover, and I read this. It just was not the same. Like, anything that you read after ACOTAR is not going to live up to anything, and it's just not going to feel good. I will say though, it was great. I just I didn't have as much fun because I wanted to be reading ACOTAR. Now last but certainly not least, we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Perfection. I love this so much, and I had so much fun. I thought it was such a unique, fun story, and I think if you love like old Hollywood vibes, you will really love this. And that is it. Those are 30 of the most popular Booktok books that Booktok has hyped up on the internet, and I hope that you guys really like this video. Please keep in mind, this is just my opinion, okay? I've seen a few comments and a few things recently have been brought to my attention, and I kind of just feel like I need to clear the air with this. Yes, I'm an author. Yes, I write books, but I also create book content, and I am a booktuber, whatever you want to call it, booktalker. I give my opinions on the internet. Just because I also write books doesn't mean I'm going to lie and not talk about the books that I don't like, because that would be very dishonest. But also, I'm not telling you guys not to read it. I'm just sharing my opinion, and I have never told anyone to not read a book. To the internet, I've actually never done that. I've always just expressed my feelings, and I think times are changing. Just know that this is my opinions. Just know that yes, I understand how much work goes into a book, but I also do understand that everyone has different opinions and reading is subjective, and that is all I'm ever doing. I am posting my reviews and my opinions online, hoping to find people that like the same books as me, and we can talk about books, and I can recommend books. I can talk about my feelings of things that I wrote. Honestly, I'm sorry if you are offended by that. I don't think it's offensive. And I have said this, go read my book and see if you like it. If you don't, no harm, no foul. If you love it, great. But reading is subjective, and people can share their thoughts, feelings, and opinions. I think it would be very different if I was tagging the authors in things when I was saying I don't like their books, but I'm not. I'm just purely being very honest with the people that follow me and telling them what I like and what I do not like. With that being said, reading is subjective. This is just my opinion, and please don't be offended. It is okay to have different opinions. And I hope that you guys like this video. Sorry to get a little bit too deep with you, but I had so much fun filming this, and thank you so much for watching. Mwah! Bye!